Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating psychology behind building absolutely unbreakable discipline, turning those invisible daily choices into, well, unstoppable success. So, what if I told you that the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you actually want isn't a lack of talent, it isn't bad luck, and it's definitely not a lack of motivation. It's actually something much simpler, but honestly, way more dangerous. It's the habit of doing what feels good right now instead of what matters most later.
Okay, let's dive right into this by asking the exact same question your brain secretly asks you every single time that 6 a.m. alarm goes off. Should I choose comfort or progress? Most of us answer this without even realizing it. We hit the snooze button, we skip the workout, we put off that massive project and promise ourselves, hey, I'll definitely start tomorrow. But then tomorrow becomes next week bleeds into next month, and suddenly literal years have passed. Here's the thing. Discipline is not something you're just born with. It's a skill, it's a system, it's a way of training your brain to actually keep the promises you make to yourself.
Section 1. The motivation myth. Willpower is unreliable. We really have to start by tearing down a massive misconception, which is this idea that successful people just wake up completely overflowing with willpower and motivation. It's a total myth. Think of your mind like a car. Your fleeting emotions, they're just noisy passengers. But discipline is the driver keeping their hands firmly on the steering wheel. The most disciplined people out there experience the exact same emotions as everyone else. They wake up tired, they feel lazy, and passengers grab the wheel. When the passengers are in charge, the whole journey becomes completely chaotic. But when the driver stays in control, reaching your destination becomes inevitable.
Think about brushing your teeth in the morning. You don't wake up feeling deeply inspired and emotionally motivated to brush your teeth, right? You just do it. You don't need emotional motivation for that. And the crucial point here is that true discipline means making your most important actions just as automatic. Professional athletes don't negotiate with themselves about whether they'll train. They simply say, I do it because it's what I do. Identity completely replaces emotion. The real goal isn't to get more motivated. The goal is to stop negotiating with yourself entirely.
Moving on to Section 2. Design your environment. Reduce friction. Discipline isn't really about fighting yourself every single day. It's about making success the default choice. The psychological secret here is reducing friction, meaning you make good habits incredibly easy and bad habits ridiculously hard. For example, step 1, put your phone in another room. If you're trying to eat healthy but your kitchen is absolutely packed with junk food, every hour is a battle. But if your phone is charging in another room, you're not going to check it first thing in the morning. If you leave a book right on your pillow, you'll naturally read before bed. If you automate your savings, you literally can't spend that money. You're removing the obstacles, because your brain will always naturally choose the path of least resistance.
Consider this idea. You shape your environment, and then, in turn, your environment shapes you. I love this because it completely flips the script on self-control. It shows that the path of least resistance can actually work in your favor if you set it up right. So don't rely on stronger self-control, just design a smarter environment.
Section 3. The discipline bank account. Build self-trust.
Let's shift gears and look at the internal promises you make to yourself, because every single broken I'll start Monday promise is quietly destroying your self-trust. If you had a friend who constantly made promises and never kept them, you'd stop believing them, right? Well, the exact same thing happens with your own brain. You have to think of discipline as a literal bank account. Tiny, seemingly insignificant physical actions are actually massive psychological deposits. Every time you say, I'll stop procrastinating tomorrow, you're making a huge withdrawal from your self-trust. But reading just one page, going for a quick 10-minute walk, or doing 5 push-ups, those are deposits. Eventually, your internal account reflects your actual habits, not just your good intentions.
So, the big takeaway here is that you absolutely cannot just think your way into being disciplined. You have to physically prove it to yourself with small wins. Every completed promise becomes another piece of hard evidence that says, hey, I follow through. That's exactly why starting small isn't a weakness. It's a brilliant strategic move to change the entire way you see yourself.
All right, Section 4. Seek intentional discomfort. Lift mental weights. Now we're going to tackle the resistance itself. We need to explore why leaning into discomfort is literally like lifting heavy weights for your brain. Without resistance, nothing gets stronger. Elite athletes don't wait for sunny days to train. They train in the pouring rain because discipline is built, not tested, on the hard days. Every single time you avoid something difficult, your comfort zone grows, but your confidence shrinks.
On the flip side, when you intentionally do one thing that makes you uncomfortable, like taking a cold shower, speaking up in a tough meeting, or making that difficult phone call, you teach your brain a massive lesson. I can handle discomfort. Every challenge you avoid makes the next one feel harder, and every challenge you face makes the next one that much easier.
So, if you want to build immediate momentum, you need to pierce right through that hesitation. Ask yourself this specific question every single morning. What's the hardest thing I need to do today? And then, tackle it first. Do the absolute hardest thing first, and I promise you, everything else will feel like a breeze afterward. Momentum is honestly one of the most powerful forces behind lasting discipline.
Section 5. Eliminate hidden enemies. Protect your attention.
Of course, building discipline isn't just about what you add to your life. It is heavily about what you aggressively protect your attention from. People often think their discipline disappears because they're just lazy, but honestly, it's usually because they're constantly distracted. Discipline rarely collapses all at once. It usually dies by 1,000 tiny smartphone notifications. Think about this. A staggering 85% of our attention can easily be stolen by just one quick message or a short video. And suddenly, 5 minutes later, you've completely forgotten what you were even supposed to be doing. Your attention is one of your most incredibly valuable resources. Highly successful people protect it the way a bank protects money. They silence notifications and they schedule focused work, simply because they respect the time they have.
Now, the second hidden enemy is perfectionism. But let's be real, perfectionism is really just procrastination wearing a fancy disguise. People delay starting because they're waiting for the perfect plan or the perfect timing. But progress beats waiting every single time. Done beats perfect. You build true discipline by taking action, even if it's messy, completely imperfect action.
Finally, Section 6. Shift your identity. Permanent change. For our final paradigm shift in this explainer, we're looking at the ultimate difference between temporary goals and permanent behavioral change. It's the stark difference between saying, I want to exercise, and saying, I am someone who exercises. Instead of just wishing for it, you declare, I am someone who never misses a workout. Suddenly, every single action becomes an incredibly powerful vote for this brand new identity you're building for yourself. If you truly believe you're a disciplined person, your actions will naturally begin to match that belief. Every healthy meal is a vote, every workout is a vote, every focused work session is a vote. No single action changes your life on its own, but thousands of them stacked together absolutely do. This brings us to the brick wall theory. Success isn't some overnight gift. It is a remarkably strong structure built by thousands of invisible, tiny decisions all stacked together. People will look at your finished brick wall and call it natural talent, completely missing the thousands of invisible, disciplined decisions it took to lay every single brick. One brick seems meaningless, right? But you stack enough of them, and suddenly a massive, strong wall stands before you. The rewards of discipline are highly visible to everyone else, but the work itself is mostly invisible.
Ultimately, it comes down to choosing what you want most over what you want right now. You don't need to be a perfect robot. You simply just need to win the very next decision that's sitting right in front of you. Discipline isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about making one good decision even when a bad one feels so much easier. Wake up when the alarm rings. Finish the task. Take that first step. And then just repeat it tomorrow.
So here is my challenge to you for the next 24 hours. Pick just one thing you've been avoiding, go take some messy, imperfect action, and prove to yourself that your unbreakable discipline starts right now. Done. No excuses, no waiting for the perfect moment, just start. You look back one day and realize the life you always wanted wasn't built by motivation, it was built by discipline. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today. But before you go, ask yourself this one final question. If your future is just a collection of your daily habits, who will you be a year from now if you start laying those bricks today?